The NBA world may be heading toward one of its most explosive superstar feuds yet, and it all traces back to comments made by Shaquille O'Neal about Bronny James. Shaq openly admitted he once told LeBron James that Bronny simply was not ready for the NBA, but what followed turned the entire situation into a massive controversy. The drama intensified when Bronny, despite modest numbers at USC and an underwhelming college season, landed a 4-year NBA contract after being selected 55th overall by the Lakers. Normally, that draft spot rarely guarantees anything more than a training camp opportunity, yet Bronny received millions with guaranteed money attached. That alone shocked fans. But the biggest twist came during the 2024 NBA draft when former Warriors GM Bob Myers revealed on live television that Rich Paul had reportedly warned teams not to draft Bronny, saying he would head to Australia if selected by another franchise. Suddenly, what looked like a normal draft story turned into one of the most debated and controversial moments the league has seen in years.
I told his father that the kid wasn't ready for the NBA.
When the 2024 NBA draft unfolded, many fans quickly realized this was never a normal basketball decision. The destination always appeared locked in from the beginning, with the Lakers becoming the perfect stage for LeBron James and Bronny James to make history together as father and son teammates. It created headlines across the sports world and gave the league a feel-good storyline. But behind the emotional moment came a wave of criticism about whether basketball standards were being pushed aside for a bigger narrative. To many observers, this did not look like a franchise discovering hidden talent. It looked like a carefully planned outcome designed to satisfy one superstar's vision. That debate only grew louder once the season began. Before Bronny even stepped onto an NBA floor, Shaquille O'Neal publicly stated that the young guard belonged in the G League and needed more time to develop. As the months passed, Shaq's comments started gaining traction because Bronny struggled to produce consistently at the NBA level. His rookie numbers painted a difficult picture, with low scoring averages and inefficient shooting percentages that fueled questions about whether he had been rushed into the spotlight too early. Instead of looking like a player growing into the league, critics argued he looked overwhelmed by the pace and pressure of NBA basketball. What frustrated many former players even more was the impact on others fighting for those same roster opportunities. While Bronny maintained a guaranteed spot, players like Jordan Goodwin bounced in and out of the league despite providing energy, defense, and the exact type of depth the Lakers reportedly needed. Goodwin eventually found opportunities elsewhere, while the Lakers continued investing in Bronny's development. For critics, that became the center of the controversy. It was no longer simply about stats or performance. It became a larger argument about fairness, roster value, and whether the standards attached to one of basketball's most iconic franchises had changed. Shaq did not hold back when discussing the issue publicly. Having helped build the Lakers dynasty alongside Kobe Bryant, he made it clear that wearing that jersey once required extraordinary talent and relentless competition. In his view, every roster spot mattered because countless hungry players spent years fighting for even the smallest NBA opportunity. That is why this situation struck such a nerve. Critics believed the final roster spot on a championship organization had effectively become untouchable, not because of performance, but because of family connections. Even as head coach J.J. Redick defended the decision publicly, the debate only intensified, turning Bronny's arrival into one of the most polarizing stories the league has seen in recent years.
Reported Rich Paul is threatening teams not to draft Bronny James, saying if they draft him, he'll leave to Australia.
What started as frustration over Bronny James quickly turned into something much bigger for Shaquille O'Neal. While many respected J.J. Redick for defending his player publicly, Shaq believed the Real issue was deeper than stats or development. In his eyes, the Lakers were once a franchise where every roster spot had to be earned through hard work and elite performance, not protected by family ties. That frustration only exploded further when LeBron James defended his son on a podcast and claimed today's NBA is tougher than the league was during the 1980s and 1990s. For legends like Shaq, who battled through one of basketball's most physical eras, those comments felt like a direct shot at the generations that built the NBA into what it is today. Suddenly, The argument was no longer just about Bronny or a roster spot. It became a heated debate about respect, legacy, and whether today's stars truly understand the grind that older NBA legends went through.
Rob and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this.
The controversy exploded even further once LeBron James began defending today's NBA as the toughest era basketball has ever seen. Critics immediately pointed out the contradiction. On one hand, LeBron was praising the modern league for its elite skill level and intense competition, but on the other hand, his son Bronny James, a player many believed was not yet NBA ready, had secured a guaranteed roster spot with one of the most iconic franchises in sports. To former stars like Shaquille O'Neal, that argument simply did not add up. During an appearance on Inside the NBA, Shaq fired back by reminding viewers how brutal older eras truly were, especially before modern defensive rules changed the game. He argued that players in the 80s and 90s dealt with far more physical punishment, tougher paint defense, and far fewer protections from referees. Former veterans like Lindsey Hunter and Byron Scott backed up that perspective, explaining that the pace of play in earlier decades was already extremely fast, while the physicality was far harsher than today's NBA. For Shaq, the issue was bigger than statistics. It was about standards. He and Kobe Bryant built championship cultures through relentless competition, where every roster spot had to be earned daily. Players who struggled consistently would not survive long in that environment. That is why Bronny's situation became so controversial to many former players. Critics argued that a guaranteed spot on the Lakers should go to someone fully prepared to contribute immediately, not to a developing prospect receiving opportunities under an intense spotlight because of his family name. And as the debate spread across sports media, it became clear Shaq was far from alone. Analysts, former players, and television personalities across the league were all weighing in, including Stephen A. Smith, who openly questioned whether Bronny was truly ready for the NBA during multiple discussions on First Take. Suddenly, the story was no longer just a disagreement between Shaq and LeBron. It had turned into one of the most polarizing basketball debates in recent memory.
Because the game is different. Like, I want people to understand, and our fans to understand, that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s.
At first, it sounded like typical sports media drama. Stephen A. Smith had been criticizing Bronny James on First Take, questioning whether the young guard was truly ready for the NBA and arguing that the pressure surrounding him was becoming unfair to everyone involved. Most people expected it to stay as another heated television debate. But everything changed during a Lakers-Knicks game at Crypto.com Arena on March 6th, when LeBron James reportedly walked directly towards Stephen A. during a timeout and confronted him courtside in front of cameras and fans. Suddenly, what had been a sports talk discussion turned into a personal and very public clash. The moment instantly sent shockwaves across the NBA world because it showed just how deeply the criticism surrounding Bronny had started affecting LeBron personally. What was once viewed as normal media analysis now felt like a full-scale battle between one of basketball's biggest superstars and the voices covering the league every day.